My name is Brooklyn Carter. And on the morning after my wedding, my billionaire CEO father sent me a text message that changed my life forever. Crying heartbreak. It said, "Since you've chosen him over this family, don't expect another dollar from me." Just like that, I lost my father, my inheritance, my safety net, everything, or so he thought, because 6 months later, the same father who cut me off completely was sitting across from my husband asking for help. And what happened next left him speechless. My name is Brooklyn Carter. I grew up in Seattle, Washington. My father, Richard Carter, was the CEO of one of the largest logistics companies on the West Coast. Money was never a problem. Private schools, luxury vacations, designer clothes, everything looked perfect. But there was one thing my father valued even more than money. Control. Richard Carter controlled everything: business, family, relationships, conversations, even dreams, especially dreams. Growing up, I learned quickly. If Dad approved of something, life became easy. If he didn't, life became difficult, very difficult. When I was young, I worshipped him. He seemed larger than life. Powerful, confident, successful. But as I got older, I started seeing cracks. His love always came with conditions. Every achievement was expected. Every mistake became a disappointment. And every decision required his approval. Then I met Luke Bennett. Luke was everything my father hated. Not because he was a bad man. The opposite. He was kind, honest, hardworking. The problem: he wasn't rich. Luke taught high school history. His annual salary was less than what Dad spent entertaining clients. Yet Luke possessed something money couldn't buy: character. The first time I introduced him to my father, the meeting lasted 12 minutes. 12. Dad barely looked at him. Then afterward he said, "You can do better." I felt furious. Luke never disrespected him, never argued, never complained. Yet Dad treated him like a failure simply because he wasn't wealthy. For 2 years my father pressured me relentlessly. He arranged introductions to executives, investors, lawyers, men with money, men with status, men he approved of. I rejected every one, because I loved Luke. Eventually Luke proposed. I said yes. The happiest moment of my life became the beginning of a family war. Dad exploded, screaming, threatening, demanding. He insisted I reconsider. When that failed, he tried bribing me, then manipulating me, then guilt. Nothing worked. So he issued an ultimatum. If you marry him, you're on your own. I thought he was bluffing. He wasn't. The wedding happened anyway. Small ceremony, close friends, beautiful memories. No father, no family support, no blessing. The morning after our wedding, the text arrived. The one changing everything: "You're cut off." No explanation, no goodbye, just cut off. Dad canceled everything: trust funds, financial support, family accounts, even health insurance assistance. Gone. Within 24 hours. Honestly, I cried. A lot. Not because of money. Because my father chose pride over love. Luke held me while I processed everything. Then he quietly said, "We'll build our own future." And that's exactly what we did. The first months were hard. Really hard. For the first time in my life, I experienced financial pressure. Budgeting, student loans, real-world problems, things Dad always protected me from. Yet strangely, I felt happier, because for the first time, my life belonged to me, not him. Meanwhile Luke continued teaching, and I launched a consulting business helping small companies improve operations. The beginning was rough. Clients were limited. Revenue was unpredictable. But slowly things improved. Then something unexpected happened. A local business owner referred another client. That client referred 3 more. Then 6. Then 10. Within months my company started growing rapidly. Not overnight success, but real progress. Then came an opportunity changing everything. A struggling regional distribution company hired me. Most consultants rejected the project. Too risky, too complicated. I accepted. Over 4 months, my team completely transformed operations. Efficiency increased. Profits doubled. The company survived. Word spread quickly. Soon larger organizations started calling. Contracts increased. Revenue exploded. By month 6, my small consulting company became one of the fastest growing firms in the region. Then fate decided having a sense of humor. One afternoon, I received an email. The sender shocked me. My father's company, apparently Richard Carter's business, faced serious challenges. Supply chain issues, major contract losses, operational inefficiencies. Investors were concerned, stockholders were nervous, and someone recommended hiring my firm. At first, I thought it was a joke. It wasn't. The recommendation came from an independent board member. Someone who cared about results, not family politics. A week later, I entered the same corporate headquarters where I spent childhood holidays. Only now I wasn't the CEO's daughter. I was the consultant, the expert, the professional, the person being hired. Life works in strange ways. Dad looked stunned seeing me. Genuinely stunned. The meeting felt awkward immediately. Board members introduced me. Executives listened carefully. And for 2 hours I presented solutions. Detailed, practical, effective. When I finished, the room applauded. Actual applause. Then the chairman asked, "Can your team handle this project?" Before I answered, Dad finally spoke. The first words he'd said to me in 6 months. Brooklyn. His voice sounded different, smaller somehow, less certain. I simply replied, "Yes." Silence followed. Then the board approved the contract unanimously. Just like that, the company that once rejected me hired me. The father who abandoned me needed my expertise. After the meeting ended, Dad asked, speaking privately. Part of me wanted refusing. Another part needed closure. So I agreed. We sat across from each other in his office. The same office intimidating me as a child. Suddenly it didn't feel intimidating anymore. Dad looked older, tired, regretful. Then he asked, "Are you happy?" Not, "How much money do you make?" Not, "How successful are you?" Just, "Are you happy?" For a moment I saw the father I used to love. Not the CEO. Not the businessman. Just Dad. I smiled, and answered honestly, "Yes." Tears filled his eyes. Actual tears. The man never cried. Then he whispered, "I was wrong." 3 words. 3 powerful words. Years overdue, yet somehow meaningful. Dad admitted everything. His pride. His control issues. His obsession with status. His fear that I would struggle financially. He convinced himself he was protecting me. Instead, he pushed me away. The conversation lasted hours. Not every wound healed immediately. Some scars remain. But reconciliation finally began. Then Dad surprised me again. Several weeks later, he visited Luke at school. Personally, not as CEO. As a father, he apologized. A genuine apology. The kind requiring humility. And Luke accepted it. Because that's who Luke was. Today, years later, our family relationship isn't perfect. But it's real. Dad respects boundaries. Luke and I built a successful life. And the inheritance I once lost, it no longer matters. Because the greatest lesson I learned was this. The moment my father cut me off felt like the end of everything. In reality, it was the beginning of becoming the person I was meant to be. Sometimes losing the support you depend on forces you discovering your true strength. People may underestimate you, reject your choices, or try controlling your future. But real success comes from building a life based on your own values, not someone else's expectations. If this story touched your heart, thumbs up, like this video. Bell, subscribe for more emotional family drama stories. Speech balloon, comment below. If your family gave you an ultimatum about who to marry, what would you have done? Crying heart break ring.